This is Grammar and Composition 902B. And so we already established in 902A rule number 1 of capitalization. So we are going to move on to rules number 2 through 6. And then just an overview, just reminding you that our capitalization in rule number 1 was that we are going to capitalize proper nouns, and a noun is a person, place, thing, or idea. And in order to make it proper, we're talking about a specific noun. So rule 2 states that we're going to capitalize titles of persons. So for instance, President Truman, Governor West, King Ahab. Those are specific people, a title of a specific person. Now, if I say the governor of Florida, but I'm not being specific to who that actually is, the governor is going to be a lowercase g. If I say the king of Israel, again, there have been more than one kings of Israel, therefore I'm not being specific to actually King Ahab. King is going to be lowercase. The only time that doesn't happen is when we refer to president. If I say the 16th president, president will actually be capitalized as well, even though I'm not being specific to the actual person and not putting a name with that person. Family relationships. So if I say Uncle Anthony and Aunt Laura took me to the zoo, I'm going to go ahead and capitalize uncle, and I'm going to capitalize aunt as well. Or if I say, what shall we buy mother for her birthday? Mother is specific to, I'm talking about actual mother. I'm replacing her name with mother. Or if I said, father died at the age of 92. Again, I'm replacing the name of the father and putting just father in it. Now, if I add my before the name, so if I said to you, what shall we buy my mother for her birthday? Now we're not being specific, we're not replacing her name. I'm telling you whose mother. It's my mother. It's a possessive noun, so therefore it's a possessive pronoun. Therefore, we're talking about my mother, and therefore it's not proper, and so we're going to just lowercase that m. Again, if I said to you, my father died at the age of 92, we're not replacing his name. We're talking about whose father. It's my father. Therefore, it's not specific, and so we are going to have that as a lowercase. Again, if I said my uncle and my aunt took me to the zoo, I'm not being specific. Now, if I said to you, my uncle Anthony and my Aunt Laura took me to the zoo, you're still going to capitalize Aunt Laura and Uncle Anthony because that is the name that you call them. So if I say my Uncle Anthony, that's what I call him. Because if I was just talking to him, I would say, hey, Uncle Anthony. That's what I say to him. But if I just said my uncle, I'm not being specific. I might have more than one uncle. It just, it has to be specific. Or if I said to you, several cousins came to visit. I'm not telling you, I'm not being specific to the actual cousins. But if I say, my cousin Mary came to visit. Again, it's my cousin. But if I said to you, cousin Mary came to visit, we're still not going to capitalize that C because that's not what you call her. You just call her Mary. You wouldn't refer to her every time you talk to her and say cousin Mary. It would just be Mary. And so therefore that C is going to be lowercase. Rule number 3. We're going to capitalize the titles of works. So you're going to capitalize the first and last words of all important words of titles of books, magazines, newspapers, poems, stories, plays, and works of art. So for instance, the globe for the space age. This is the title of a book. So the is not an important word, but because it is the first word of the title, we are going to capitalize it. Globe is also going to be capitalized because it's an important word of that title. For, the are not going to be capitalized because they are not important words. Space age, again, is going to be important, therefore we will capitalize them. Rule number 4 states that we will capitalize the first word of every sentence, and this is including quoted sentences. So if I say, she said, and then comma, and I put the quotations, and I tell you what she says, that first word of what she says is going to be capitalized, even though it's technically not the first word of the sentence. But we're going to, including quoted sentences, or we act like it is a new sentence. So capitalizing the first word of every sentence and the first word of quoted sentences as well. Next, rule number 5, we are going to capitalize the pronoun I and the interjection O. And let's make sure that we understand that the interjection O is different than the word O-H-O. This is an interjection. O-H means a completely different thing. So, unto thee, O my strength, I will sing, for God is my defense. Again, your O interjection is going to be capitalized as well as your I. And then last, our capitalization rule number 6. We're going to capitalize the first word in every line of poetry, whether or not the word begins a sentence. So if you are writing poetry and you move to your next line, it doesn't matter if it's in the middle of the sentence or not, that first word of the new line is going to be capitalized. So that is the rules 2 through 6 for capitalization, making sure that you have watched part A as well, and that way you guys can finish your activities and worksheets for this section of this unit.